Welcome to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with Rebecca Hall Gruyter. In our program each week, we provide the tools, ideas, and encouragement to help you move ahead on your journey, becoming a more powerful and impactful woman in your own life. Now here's your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter.
Welcome, everyone. I hope that you're having an amazing day. Honored and excited to be connecting in with you. And as we are shifting seasons, moving into the holidays, it gets more hectic. There are more things that come up that we get to navigate as our schedules shift with the seasons, and more demands can sometimes be placed on us. And this is a really great time for us to really review how can we maintain our balance as all of these things are happening in our life and changes, surprises. How are we navigating those? How are we maintaining our balance? We have an amazing guest today who I know you are going to enjoy meeting, and she has discovered how to navigate so many challenging things and maintain her balance in doing so. So I know we have a lot to learn from her. I'm very excited for all that she is bringing forward and sharing. And one of the things I appreciate about our guest is that every time there is a challenge or there is something to navigate, she just takes a breath and keeps stepping forward, reevaluates her balance, and continues to move forward. And I think there's just so much that we can gain from someone who has learned to really live in that space in that way. So I'm very excited to share her with you today. I know you're going to enjoy meeting her. And as we come together, I want to invite you to just take a deep breath in through the nose, all the way to the toes, and out your mouth like through a straw. Beautiful. And as you're doing that, picture that oxygen coming in and all of that beautiful, powerful support just for you. And as you breathe it in and you feel that oxygen nourishing every cell in your body, you breathe out, releasing what no longer serves, creating room and space for more. And in fact, I encourage you to take a moment and close your eyes. You're absolutely safe. Place both hands on your heart. Notice your heartbeat. Beautiful. And as you're noticing that, I invite you to notice the beat in between, that pause, I should say, in between the beats. That stillness, that quietness. And as you are tuning into your heart and to that space in between the beats, what is it that you need today? What is it that will encourage you, empower you, support you? What do you need real time? And see what the answer is. What do you need? And are willing to receive, because you have choice. So what is it that you need and are willing to receive? Beautiful. Let's take another deep breath. Open your eyes, becoming fully present. Beautiful. And take a moment to write down what it is that you need and are willing to receive. Great. By writing it down, you're getting it out of swirling around in you, and it creates room and space for more, and you can start interacting with it. It's bringing that forward. And that awareness, identifying what it is that you need, is truly powerful And it lets you have that clarity for our conversation today, because it's not an accident that you are tuning in. It's by design. It's on purpose. There is something here for you today. And I want you open and ready to receive it. And my intention is that it will be support around that very need that bubbled up when we took a moment to stop, pause, and listen. Sometimes we're moving so fast, or there's so much noise around us or within us, that we can't always hear that still, small voice, that wisdom in our heart. So let's bring that forward, write that down, and I'm going to go around our virtual room here and have our amazing guest just share when she took a moment to stop, pause, breathe, and listen, what was laid on her heart. Katie, I'd love for you to share.
Yes, Rebecca, thank you for having me. Honestly, when I took a moment, I just had to get back to simplicity right now. What I am looking for is to keeping things simple and appreciating the small things. You know, right now things are getting bigger. There's more things being put on our plate. And I have to remember that if we overlook the simple things right now, even though we're maybe doing bigger or greater things, it will just cause chaos, and just to keep things simple right now. So appreciating all the simple things.
I love that. And you're so right. If we could focus in on those simple things, one, it makes it not so heavy and crazy, but two, it can avoid chaos and disconnects. So really smart. Thank you for sharing. Listeners, curious about what was laid on your heart. What did you hear? How did Katie share of focusing on simplicity, the simple things? How did that feel? What did that add to what's speaking to your heart and to your spirit? As we get ready to go to our first commercial break, I invite you to stay present. Resist that urge to cross things off the list, to stay present, really open to receive everything that is speaking to your heart and to your spirit, and we'll continue our conversation in just a moment.
Follow Voice America at facebook.com/Voice America for juicy updates from your favorite radio shows and podcasts.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com, and make the most of an incredible life transformation.
Voice America programs are now available on your favorite connected device, including Amazon, Alexa, and Google Home. Through streams with Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio, listening to your favorite show is as easy as saying the show name followed by the word podcast.
Hey, Alexa, play Finding Your Frequency podcast.
If that doesn't work, try adding on TuneIn or on iHeartRadio or on Apple Podcasts.
Rebecca Hall Gruyter's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at speakertalentsearch.com. That's speakertalentsearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
It's your world. Motivate, change, succeed. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed those 2 minutes. that opportunity to be present and really see what was speaking to your heart and to your spirit, particularly around maintaining balance. And one of the things I've discovered about balance for myself, at least I should say, and I'll be curious what Katie has to share around this, is I have discovered it's not something that I just have finally arrived and land there and I'm just there forevermore. I find it's living and breathing and interactive, and I shift and evolve and change too. And so what that balance is shifts and evolves and grows with me as well. So that's something I have found for my journey of finding balance. And it's been really important for me to discover and recognize signals that I'm out of balance, like the yellow lights before I hit a red light, recognizing, oh, if I'm responding this way, or I'm getting a little bit tired, or I'm feeling this way, that means something's out of balance. Let me go evaluate that before it becomes more serious. And that's helped me discover and maintain my balance. Well, I'm excited to bring our amazing guest on. I know you're going to enjoy her heart, her spirit, and her insights that she'll be sharing with us today. I've already written down simplicity, remembering to focus on the simple things, because I know I can make things complex very quickly. So I appreciated that share from Katie. I'm excited to just give you some snapshots of who Katie is. So Katie Coffman is the Chief Operating Officer at Top Dog Construction. She is a survivor of some of the things. She has survived many things, but just a couple of the highlights. She has survived a house fire and a gunshot. She is a mother, motivational speaker, and influencer, and she is on a mission to revolutionize the impact of what being selfish can have in your life. She is passionate about helping you turn tragedy into triumph. Please lean in. Warmly welcome the dynamic, powerful, and survivor, Katie Coffman. Welcome.
Thank you, Miss Rebecca.
You are very, very welcome. And I'd love to have you share a little bit about why you are so passionate about the work that you do around this.
Yeah, so I'm really passionate about just helping people realize that they have every right to be at the forefront of their own life. We get caught up in a lot of the chaos and we get put behind the scenes more often than I think we necessarily want. But bringing it to the forefront, realizing that is a big step, and taking back your own life. And so I went on this journey of trying to figure out how I would even go about doing that and taking back the driver's seat of my own life vehicle. And I found a lot of amazing things that happened throughout that process. And when I realized I wasn't the only one in that situation, being able to talk to other people about how to do the same things really been great for me.
Well, I love that it has been such a powerful journey and that you're leaning in to help so many others. And how does this tie into this being selfish? Because I know that's something you're very passionate about. How does that tie into having balance in our lives?
Well, so, it's hard, when you're balancing and you're playing a balancing act all the time. I think the very first thing we often forget about is ourselves. But we can't balance anything if you yourself aren't balanced. And then you can try all you want to, but that will eventually catch up to you. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. So when you're not putting yourself first and you're not staying mindful to do that, you can try to balance everything and anything, but it's going to catch up to you. And then you're not also showing up to those balancing acts the best version you can be either. So it's very important that you take time to be selfish and to take care of yourself in order to do, in my opinion, any sort of balancing act at all.
I think that is so wise. And I'm curious as I sink into what you're sharing, that if we're not finding that balance for ourselves, we're not going to find it anywhere else. It starts with us. So
Correct.
how can we start to recognize maybe we're not quite in balance? Because if this is so important that we are, what are some indicators that, I need to recalibrate or rebalance?
My biggest thing that I have really noticed is truly listening to myself. For the longest time, I don't feel like I did. We toss it to the side, we ignore it. We think, okay, well, we'll just out of sight, out of mind, stay busy, it'll solve itself. And that's definitely the farthest from the case. I used to joke around that, like, I thought that a lot of these in tune and listening to your body was honestly like considered weak, I guess, in a sense. And I was always the person who really pushed myself and kept going, and I never gave up and I never quit. But taking moments of pause and to truly listen to what your body is sometimes screaming at you that you keep trying to ignore is what you need. And so for me, it's calming down and listening to your body, because a lot of us don't do it enough, or I know I got in a really big habit of ignoring it. And your body will tell you if you're tired or if you're stressed or if you're anxious, and we just need to listen to ourselves a little better.
I think that is so true. Our bodies are so wise, and they are sharing so much information that I think we get programmed, or we just tune out and push through. How can we start to listen to our body's wisdom, ourself, a little bit better?
So, I mean, it's a process. It's hard. I started dabbling in different things that I would, respectfully speaking, I was like, oh, I don't need that. Like, I don't need to take a pause. Or anybody who was seemed more in tune with their bodies, I was like, oh, that stuff's not for me. That's a waste of time. When you start becoming more open-minded to things, it does open yourself up to a whole new world. So things such as grounding, meditation, I go to sound therapy often, visualization. And all of those have one thing in common, and that's truly just sitting there with yourself and focusing on yourself. Sometimes it's not necessarily as obvious as we need it to be, such as, like you having a panic attack, for example. But if you sit there, like, your body will get there, but you have to allow it that moment. Because if you just keep covering up with everything else, eventually you're going to push it so far down that you yourself can't even understand what you need anymore. And those moments of silence and those moments to really connect with your inner self, to dig and see what you need, are very important. But you have to kind of figure out what works for you.
Beautiful. And I love the example of some of the things that you do to be with yourself and listen and be still. I know that journaling is really powerful for me to get my swirling thoughts out, and then kind of what's underneath, I can listen and hear and receive a little bit more. I know sometimes I've had guests share and authors share, because they're listening to what they're called to bring forward, that sometimes walking in nature and moving around a little bit can also help tune into that wisdom in the body. So thank you for sharing, and how important that is to find our way of doing that. Now, just to give people a little bit of a further snapshot, you're a mother of 3, dog mom of 6. You're navigating epilepsy and entrepreneurship. What are some of the keys that you build in? You've shared some of your practices to listening to your body. What are some of the keys that you do in addition to that to maintain your balance?
So I do a lot of proactive time blocking. I'm truly in love with the process of pre-organizing, and to be the most efficient with your time and to get the most fulfillment, enjoyment of that time, you have to be proactive. So I usually block time on my schedule every single Friday or Sunday, depending on any appointments I have in place, to plan and prepare my week. This includes, like I said, appointments, priorities such as my kids' events. Fitness is always a priority of mine. And then those random one-time things that come up, on a weekly basis, but that are also no less important. My philosophy on that is knowledge is power, and knowing my schedule ahead of time empowers the hell out of me to make the best schedule and to therefore have the best week.
I love that. And then you can go into the weekend without all that stuff pulling at you, because you've got it assigned to its times, block, and spot. I love that.
Yes.
Beautiful. So In building in some of these tips and ways that you have built into your life, and I love that you were clear in your priorities. So it wasn't just time blocking and setting up that time, but it was prioritizing as well, making sure those things that are important are fitting into your schedule and allowing you that fitness and all the other things that help you navigate. So how does flexibility tie into this? Because I know we're scheduling, time blocking. So how does flexibility also support staying balanced?
Yeah, so though I love pre-planning, absolutely, there has yet to be any time where I've planned perfectly. Flexibility is key in that we have to expect things not to go as planned, right? Mm-hmm. And so now I tend to add what I call gray area into my schedule daily. Sometimes I get to use that to get ahead for the day, while other times, it's my space to get a handle on last minute things that come up. Mm-hmm. And there's even been a few times where if I didn't necessarily need to get ahead on anything and nothing came up, it was just more time for me to take those moments of rest that we were talking about earlier. And so the more flexibility that I can have when things don't go as planned, yet still remain as close to the plan as possible, the better the outcome. And so I like to think of it as a river. The water flows its course no matter what. Rocks will get in the way, an animal too will randomly, get there. But rather than stopping in its path, it continues to flow. It just goes around the obstacle and continues on. And that's what ideally our schedules and our life need to look like. But we need to be prepared for those when they happen and not just get stuck there, but just maneuver around them and keep going with our plan.
Beautiful example. I love that the river is going to flow and we don't have to let it stop us. We can step over, around, navigate, cross a little further up or down the river, but we can keep moving. It's not the thing to stop us. It's an opportunity to maneuver. Beautiful. Well, we are getting ready to go to our next commercial break. And as we do, listeners, I invite you to really sink into the wisdom and insight that Katie is sharing with us. And perhaps there has been a river that shifted its course on you today or this week. And I want to invite you just to breathe, pause, and see what ideas perhaps bubble up to navigate around instead of just stopping. And we'll continue our conversation in just 2 minutes.
A little birdie told me Voice America is on X. Follow us at Voice America TRN.
Rebecca Hall Gruyter's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at SpeakerTalentSearch.com. That's SpeakerTalentSearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
Have you become a member yet? Sign up now to become a member of Voice America. It's always free and easy. Plus, you get to take advantage of some great member benefits. Get unlimited access to millions of hours of on-demand content across all of our channels. Keep track of your favorite episodes, shows, and hosts in your own customizable library. Find out what shows you might be interested in based on your favorites. Plus, you get insider access with our newsletter. Membership gives you more. Sign up at voiceamerica.com and click Register at the top right.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
It's your world. Motivate, change, succeed. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. hope you had a couple of moments to just really look at what are some of those rivers in our lives, in your life, that shifted course. And maybe has you stopped and now you're realizing, wow, I don't need to stop just because this changed. I can shift. I can move and adjust to navigate around or over or through to continue to move forward those things that matter most. So I hope that as we continue our conversation, you get some great tips and ideas. And I invite you to look back at what you wrote down at the beginning of the show when we were talking about what was being laid on your heart that you need. And just take a look at that and have that present as we continue our conversation so you can write down tips and ideas and suggestions and resources even that can support you on your journey as you are maintaining your balance and moving forward through the end of the year, the holidays, and into the new year powerfully and purposely. I mentioned in my opening share about Katie is that she's a best-selling author. And so I wanted to take a moment, because this could be a great resource, is to have her share a little bit about her books. I'd love for you, Katie, to share the title of the book that you recently released, and it was earlier this year, and give us a little bit of a flavor of what the book's about and you're hoping that people gain from it.
Yes. So, You Selfish Bitch was the title of my company, Cracking the Company book, and it is Cracking the Code from the Inside Out. And, my book was my process on how I was going to take my life back and put myself back at the center of that life. I never once set out to have or live a life that had other people in front of it, but it's that unconscious, compilation that you kind of mentioned to and hinted at earlier, Rebecca, was, you put so much stuff on our plate, eventually, like, we realize that we've kind of buried ourselves in that. And that's, in essence, what happened to me. And so when I decided that I was ready to stop being a people pleaser and come out from behind the scenes and take the spotlight back, I just wasn't really sure how. I started just kind of peeling back the layers like an onion and trying to see what steps I would have to do to get where I wanted to go and to be that person that had just been behind the scenes for so long, and really find that strength to get back out there. And then obviously through that process, get the opportunity to show people in my same predicament how to do the same.
And as this, because it was received very powerfully, as it's gone out into the world, what are some of the stories or experiences that you've had reflected back as people have enjoyed and read and learned from your story, your book?
So I've gotten quite a bit of feedback back, and it was really inspiring to hear people. I've had anybody from a stay-at-home mom who, once her kids were grown, she's like, I don't know what to do with my life anymore. And she said she picked up her book and my book, and she was able to start figuring out what it was, getting back to sometimes the basics. She's like, I had to figure out what I loved. She's like, I loved raising my kids. She said, but now that I don't have any more kids to raise, I needed to figure out what else it was that I loved again. And so that was one person that was able to move forward and start finding her love of other things. And I feel like that's a pretty overall basis, whether it be somebody who was just in the wrong industry or was just now at a point where they were done living out that chapter of their life. They're like, okay, how do I go on to that next chapter or that new chapter when, I don't know. So it was about getting back to that simplicity, those basics again, and figuring out who they were and what they loved to do in order to then make the best decisions for themselves on what that pivot or that next chapter would look like.
Beautiful. And that's got to feel really good because you really wanted your book to help and to make a difference for others and have it really touch people's lives in a range of walks and places and help them really find who they are and be able to maybe shift their life a bit to really bring forward those things that matter most is powerful. Do you have a favorite tip or a starting place that you share in your book that you'd like to share with our listeners today?
Honestly, my number one tip is just to get things started. If you sit there and wait and wait and wait. I am a recovering people pleaser and perfectionist. So I always thought that before I could even take one step, everything had to be planned out to a T. I had to be perfect because then that step I would regret it. No, if you keep sitting there and waiting for that perfect moment or to be that perfect person or to make that perfect decision, you are going to remain stagnant. You are not going to move. It's better to learn, maybe make the wrong step and pivot and maneuver and learn from it and then just get stronger than it would be to just have never made the step to begin with.
Mm. So important. And some things I feel like we don't know till we're in them. And there is a learning curve that needs to happen no matter how perfect the choice may be. There's a growth and a learning. And if we never take that step, we can never go on that journey and become what we can become. Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah, that first step and just taking some action. And then also, I think giving grace that, oh, I'm learning, I'm new at this, or now I know this, and based on that, I'm going to navigate forward. How do you, as a recovering people pleaser and perfectionist, how do you handle that learning curve process?
Honestly, I think it's just, I don't know. It's hard to put into words. It's a mentality thing. I've always actually been complimented on it personally that no matter what's thrown my direction, I seem to take it with a pretty positive attitude. And I feel like you can sit there and dwell on it and dwell on the mistakes you made or the what ifs, but that's not going to be anything. So I think it's more the efficiency side of me that helps me with that because nothing is more of a pet peeve to me than being, not being as efficient as you can. And so there's nothing efficient about dwelling on something that you can't change. I can't change the past. I can't change a choice I made. I can't make it just change the decision or anything I did, but I can learn from it and choose a different path, choose to do it a bit differently. And so I think that's helped me out astronomically.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I think that's so important. You're right, because we can dwell on what happened and relive it over and over of what we could have done differently, but it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change what we're doing or how we're going forward. So really, really smart advice. I appreciate it. Oh, with the holidays just around the corner, do you have any particular challenges that you personally or people that you are working with can be big challenges, and how are you advising to navigate those waters?
Yeah, so as we go into the holidays, that is the biggest change are the holidays themselves. Many people love them, but they do bring a lot of stress and anxiety. I know they once did, especially for me. And the reason for that was just all the obligations that the rest of the year doesn't have that gets put on your plate. You have family events, you have potential travel, you have additional purchases, and for some families, you can have even multiple of these. I know my husband and I both have two parents that are both separated, so there's 4 families in general right there that you're trying to please all at the same time, on top of still just trying to navigate your normal life. So honestly, it's simple, but you just sit down and be realistic with all the potential expectations that are placed on you and realize that your inner peace is not worth disrupting, especially for people who you may only see once a year. And that may seem harsh, but it's true. And all those additional obligations and money and decorations and driving, that's enough to make anybody insane. So sit down, write out all your obligations that you feel that are placed on you, and be realistic with yourself on what can you do, what do you even want to do, and make it about you. We're in November. I joke all the time that November now is my month to remind myself that no is an answer. It is November. It is preparing you to say no to all of those unrealistic expectations of Thanksgiving and Christmas and all the other activities and events that come up. Like, you are allowed to say no, 100%.
I love this. And I love how you're saying this, all these different expectations and I don't know if it's demands maybe sometimes, but expectations of what people want and the desire we can have to please, we can get lost in that shuffle. And so really getting clear on what you're saying no to, what you're saying yes to, and pausing and choosing what you're going to put on your plate. Like, you get to choose. Nobody else gets to do that for you. You get to choose what you're going to say yes to, what you're going to put on the plate. And I'm even thinking your tip earlier about having that gray matter, that room space for the unexpected, because there will be lines, there will be traffic, there will be last minute things that pop up. And allowing a little bit of extra room and space in the schedule so it's not quite so tight for those things that you say yes to can, one, give you a moment to pause and breathe and give you time to catch up on something maybe not going quite according to plan, because you let us know earlier, rarely have things ever gone exactly according to plan.
Well, usually not, but when you're prepared for them, it makes navigating them that much better. And when you're talking about, making sure that all these like additional obligations, like I feel like you're tempted to get out of your plan a lot more during this time of year too. And what I mean by that is, when you're on a diet, if you go into, if you're trap yourself inside your house and you don't have bad food to eat, you're good. But then I'm on a diet and somebody pops me in a candy store, I'm going to be in trouble, right? So it's just this time of year where now you have all these other additional people saying, hey, I need this gift. I need you to be at this event. I need you to do this. It makes that temptation to not stick to your schedule that much harder.
Yeah. And I think the emotions can be heightened or sensitive in some of these relationships you don't see all the time. So that can sometimes have some anxiety with it, or excitement, but different emotions that can come up with, and giving yourself a little bit more room and space, or even a cushion to give yourself a timeout when needed as you're navigating, so you can continue to show up and really be how and who you want to be. And I think you're wise to think ahead if there are going to be tempting situations that you have a plan and you're setting yourself up for success as much as possible. Anything else you would add?
Just that proactive communication point too. So when you sit down and you realize like, hey, like, this isn't going to work for me, or I don't want to, you guys may think I need to be there, but I know that I don't want to, or don't really have to. You proactively communicate with that. It's a little less tense, because I get anxiety. Like, I feel like some people and a lot of people struggle with getting anxiety by telling somebody no, but it's a lot better if you tell them, no, I'm not coming to Thanksgiving because I'm going to have my own family Thanksgiving this year, 3 weeks ahead of time instead of the day before. Just at least you set the expectations and you were clear up front, and people will take that and do with it as they want. And that's not your problem. And you have to remember that, like, you made your choice, and people need to respect that.
Including ourselves, and not second guess it, not dwell on it, but make the choice and kind of move forward. And I also like that reminder that their response is their response. That's not your responsibility, whatever their response is to that.
Absolutely.
So to me, it sounds like you're really good and clear about boundaries, as well as having a plan as you're navigating forward.
Yes.
Oh, beautiful. Well, we are getting ready to go to our next commercial break. And as we do so, listeners, I want you to look at your note page and just see what tips and things are bubbling up, and maybe write down a couple more tips that you can proactively use during the holidays. And in fact, there might be one or two that you can start to put into play right now. I loved the activity that Katie shared about on Fridays, that she looks at the week ahead. Well, today is Thursday, so maybe look at your schedule tomorrow. Can you carve out an hour or two that you can do that, so you can really start next week on purpose? We'll continue our conversation in just 2 minutes.
Voice America is on LinkedIn. Connect with us today.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
You need to live up to your full potential. You've heard that for years, but now there's a channel to help you get there. Introducing the Voice America Empowerment Channel. Our listeners have told us that they want to be motivated, hear about success stories, and positive encouragement around the clock. And we've responded to you. The Voice America Empowerment Channel is the home of the world's top life coaches, entrepreneurs, and success experts. Listen to the Voice America Empowerment Channel. It's here at voiceamericaempowerment.com.
Rebecca Hall Gruyter's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at speakertalentsearch.com. That's speakertalentsearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
Find out what makes the most successful people tick. Keep listening to the Voice America Empowerment Channel. voiceamericaempowerment.com.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed those 2 minutes. I know I have lots of tips and ideas as I am starting to look at all the different holiday opportunities and invitations and navigating that along with the normal things that get accelerated a little bit this time of year. And I'm finding Katie's tips so helpful in looking at those things and planning ahead and navigating so that I get to continue to stay in balance and really be fully present at the things I do say yes to and say no to the other things with love and boundaries and allowing myself to really navigate powerfully forward. So I hope that you're finding some great tips as well to help maintain your balance now and through the holidays and into the new year so that you are fully and charged, I should say, because sometimes we can get depleted during the holidays. I want you filled up and charged and ready to go as you step into the new year. And I feel like some of the things we've talked about today will really help in doing that. So, Katie, I'd love for you to just reflect back for a moment on our conversation and anything else on your heart that you want to let our listeners know.
Yeah, I mean, I just hone in and really sit with the fact that you should be confident and comfortable with putting yourself first, even during a time of the year that's really revolved around putting others first and giving. And that's great. But if you're not here first and you're not taking care of yourself first, you can't give anything to others. And I feel like that's a big misconception with the selfish concept, in that, you know, like it's such a bad derogatory thing to be selfish when in fact it's not, because I've never been more selfless until I was the most selfish I've ever been. You have to take care of yourself first before you can even be here to be selfless to give to others anyway. And so really be confident and comfortable with that. And that obviously starts with making sure that you feel you deserve that, and everybody does.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And I'd love for you to let us know the full title of your book again and where we can get it, because that might be just a great gift or amazing resource for us during the holidays.
Yes. So the title of the book again is You Selfish Bitch, Cracking the Code from the Inside Out. You can grab that on Amazon. You can do the ebook or the paperback.
Beautiful. And for those who are wanting more of Katie and wanting to connect and follow you and go deeper, what is the best way for them to connect in?
Yes. So I am available. You can find me on Facebook through Katie Coffman. I am on LinkedIn, Instagram, and I also will be rolling out another book coming up that will be an anthology. So I would especially like to offer out to anybody who is looking to dabble in writing to definitely reach out to me if they feel pulled to open that aspect up of their lives. It's been really, really great for me, and to be able to have the opportunity to be putting out a book for authors to join in on is something that was on my heart for a while. And I'm going to be doing it with a Little Black Book Publishing, and they are a wonderful group of entrepreneur-driven women who are here locally in the St. Louis area. And yes, I'd love to open and connect with people and see if that's something that they would like to do, and allow me to be that avenue for them to dabble in.
Beautiful. So for those who aren't familiar with what an anthology is, it's a book compilation. I know I wasn't till I was. So there might be a listener out there that it's not familiar. So an anthology is a book compilation where multiple authors are coming together under a common theme, and then each author commits to writing a chapter. And it can be so powerful to come together in community like that, to get your message out there, to become a published author one chapter at a time, and not have to worry about all the publishing details, because that's what Katie will be taking care of with all of her good time blocking and management skills to make sure that all comes together. And do you mind sharing a little bit about what the theme of the anthology is, just for people who are like, ooh, that sounds really interesting?
So with being with Top Dog Construction and having just written, You Selfish Bitch, I was able to compile more of a working title to combine the two. So, I really have this top dog mentality, which is that tough, rough, never quit mentality, especially with being in the construction field, with also knowing that I deserve to be selfish. So working title is Top Dogs Never Lose, Selfish Bitches Making Big Moves. And so I got to combine kind of those two worlds and really convey, what the top dog mentality is, and talk about ladies who are making those pivots, those moves, that river that we talked about earlier on in life, that, and what really defines, in my opinion, as a top dog is the fact that quitting's never the option. So because quitting is never an option, and that's what makes you a lady top dog, then what is it that you move? And I'm really going to be diving in and asking people to be vulnerable, because I'm going to be looking for, successful, accomplished ladies, but I want them not to talk about the glorious days. I want them to talk about the closest they ever came to quitting and how they got themselves out of that moment.
Beautiful. Well, thank you. I'm excited to see that coming together. And do you have an estimated time next year it's going to be released, or is that still being figured out?
So still in the process. I'm hoping about, I would say late spring, early summer.
Okay. Great. So that's something we can definitely be watching for. And I'm excited for you. I'm a big fan of anthologies. I love multiple voices coming together to reach out into the world. And I think they just do such an amazing job of that. Well, I wanted to see, do you have any final tips or piece of advice, or kind of a parting thought that you want our listeners to carry with them as they get ready to go back into their day?
Just continue to, set those boundaries, set those expectations, and own your selfishness. People will have eventually no choice but to either, distance themselves, or they respect it. And fortunately, when you set those boundaries and those clear expectations, and you're just that powerhouse, people more oftentimes than not respect it. And so it's crazy how I was so afraid to make the moves that I did, but once I started making them and people responded to them very well, it's only empowered me even further. So I hope that everybody that is listening right now goes out in their day and just really embodies their powerhouse in them and sets expectations, and you do what you do. Slay the day.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, Katie. I so appreciate you leaning into the conversation today and sharing. I'm excited about your upcoming projects. And I just feel like you gave us some really great advice and timely tips to help us navigate the holidays in a powerful and positive way. Listeners, I hope that you have a page full of notes, great tips and ideas, and maybe just some concepts to ponder in your heart and spirit that you can start to put into play to really build those things that matter to you, to really bring forward the gift of who you are and bring that forward in alignment by saying yes to the yeses and no to the nos as you're navigating forward. I want to thank you each for leaning into our day, and that I hope you have happy, safe holidays, that your plate is full of all those things that you love, and that you're able to release those things that just you don't choose to have on the plate anymore, that you're able to lovingly release those and build a full plate that is nourishing and supportive of you. Have an amazing week, safe holidays, and we will look forward to talking to you next time.
Thank you for joining us this week for Empowering Women, Transforming Lives. Please tune in again for another edition with your host, Rebecca Hall-Gruyter, next Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific, on the Voice America Empowerment Channel, with a replay on Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. Pacific on the Voice America Variety Channel. Have a beautiful week, and may you always bloom where you're planted and shine.